It says, but I thought it was cool.
Talk to me about your mindset right when you touched the wall and what the emotions you were feeling, and almost like this sense of relief that it seemed like you had when you realized you'd made the team.
Yeah, you hit it right on. It was relief. And I've played that race in my head, and I've dreamt about it. I've visualized what that moment would be like, and I was kind of emotional because it was a lot to take in. That swim represented my entire life's work, and everyone who supports me and has helped me get to this point. That was a physical representation of that, and I was so excited, so happy, so relieved. I don't really know how I could describe it, besides just a plethora of emotions.
Thank you. So Regan, this has been kind of a good week for you, I'm guessing. How do you kind of come down from this and move on to obviously the bigger goal that's in 5-ish weeks?
Yeah, I want to take, I think, the rest of this meet to really be proud of my accomplishments and soak it in with my family, my friends, and my teammates. And then, yeah, like you said, the job isn't done, and it's back to work immediately. Starting, I think, Sunday probably, I'll be back in the gym getting started. So yeah, I think it's just compartmentalizing, being so proud of everything that I accomplished this weekend, but also understanding that this isn't the end of the road and kind of getting my mindset back to where it needs to be in a few days from now. But I'm definitely going to soak it in over the next 48 hours or so.
Jake, I might have a second part, but the first part is going to be you talking about your brother. Would you offer us some comments about how important he was in your career?
Yeah, definitely. Two nights ago was an incredibly emotional night for my entire family. I think, obviously, with Jake being so close and for multiple years now of making that international team and just grieving with him over, not reaching his goal for this meet. But then also just, that was it for his career, and which is hard for me because it started with me, my brother, and my sister in this sport. So from this meet on, it's going to be just me. And I would not have swam if it wasn't for them. Like, it was the main reason why I wanted to swim, is so I could be with them. And Jake's the reason why I chose to go to Texas, is so I could continue to swim with him. And obviously the coaches and the team were a huge part of that, but I was going to go wherever Jake went. Just because I knew I wanted to swim with him. So definitely a super emotional night the other night, and I think still probably this next week, but I could not be more excited. He sent me his schedule for med school on Monday, and he was setting up his monitor and his laptop and everything back at home. So that made me feel real excited for him, and I'm excited to get back to Austin to celebrate the end of his career, but also the start of this very exciting new journey of him becoming a doctor.
I said there was a part two. I apologize. Could you talk a little bit about your race and how you closed so strong?
Yes, that was definitely the plan. I didn't know Shaine was going to go off 52. That was not part of my plan. But I was talking to Eddie and Wyatt, and I was just like, I'm going to take it up this in the semi. Like, my legs didn't feel great, and I was a little frustrated. But tonight I was going to take it out smoother, which I thought I was doing because I was looking over at Shaine. And then just that last 75, I was like, all right, this is where I go. And I just started trying to build that third 50, and then the last 50, just tried to swim it like I was swimming a 200 freestyle. So. Closed well, and happy to finally go best time.
Regan, Christine Brennan, USA Today. You spoke eloquently last year at Nationals, at the trials, about the mental health aspect of this, the pressure that, of course, all of you face. And then everyone is expecting so much from you, and I know you expect a lot from yourself, and then you have this fantastic meet. Could you kind of put into words or perspective how you have handled the pressure and all of the burden, expectations, whatever, and turn it into something so great in the pool?
Yeah, I think the key to it is ignoring it, honestly, and realizing that external pressures have no impact on you. The only opinion that you should care about is your own and your coach's. And I struggled with that for years and years and years. And that's why I missed the team in the two back in 21. And so now to fight back and make the team in the two back 7 years after making my first international team in the 200 backstroke means a lot to me. But yeah, I think it all comes down to blocking all of it out, because nobody knows what's going on in your day-to-day life and what you're going through. People always, are going to have an opinion, and that's just like human nature, but it's just about ignoring it and focusing on what you can control and what you know that you're capable of. And I think that's always going to be a work in progress for me, but I've made a lot of strides forward that I can see, and that's what matters to me.
Shaine, you had a lot of options of events you could have swum at this meet. Can you take us through your process of how you narrowed that down, and then ultimately, what you chose to swim, and your thoughts on that decision?
Those of you that follow swimming know I'm kind of versatile, and I like to swim everything. It's really entertaining and fun and interesting to go a PB in a freestyle event and then swim backstroke and then do butterfly and then 2 a.m. And that's something I always want to continue to do, but it's gotten increasingly harder to match that caliber in certain events, and at this level, if you're not on your A game, you will not make the team in any way, shape, or form. And I have struggled with that, and it's pretty evident because it's right there. The time says if you're doing well or not. And the meet did not start great. I thought I was going to have a pretty good 100 back, and it turned out that it wasn't. And I was like, all right, we're doing this again. But this time, I had that confidence that even though, I've had a poor meet before, or a swim that kind of, was just out of the ordinary in a bad way, I knew that if I just locked in and believed in myself and just really tuned out everyone and everything, that I could get it done again. And that swim surprised me in a good way. I knew that I had the physical ability to put myself on that team. I think everyone knew that. And a lot of people believed in me, supported me. But I think the most important part was whenever I had made that decision that I can do this, to just go for it. And before that race, I couldn't really feel anything. I was super numb. I wasn't even thinking. I was listening to music. I was just jamming out, and I was like, this is insane. I think I might have texted 30 people like, this is the craziest day of my life, because if you know what it is, like, this is my life's work right here. Like, it all comes down to this race. And from the moment that race started, I just went. And I kind of might have deviated from like the strategy that I think could have maybe produced a little bit better of a time, but I really didn't care. I was just going to give it my 100% best, and I was content with whatever place and whatever time was on that board. If I would have missed the team, I would still be proud of who I am and how far I've come, and the obstacles I've faced and overcome. But I'm overjoyed that I'm an Olympian now.
Hey, this is Matt George from Swimming World. For Regan, you talked about the 100 fly earlier in the week. Do you think the way that you processed that this week is the way that you would have processed it maybe 2 or 3 years ago? And have you seen any changes in the way you get over a swim like that?
The 100 fly or the 200 backstroke?
100 fly.
What do you mean? Can you elaborate?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that final is difficult, and not making the...
Oh, not at all. Not at all. I did not think I was going to make the team in that event whatsoever. I thought Tori and Gretchen were such a lock. And coming into this season, I was a 56.6. And then at a meet in March, I was 56.3. And I was like, okay, awesome. Maybe I'm in the conversation, but Tori's been so consistent for years, and Gretchen is having, I think, the year of her life. And my prelim swim, I felt really great about. My semi-swim, I broke 56 and went 55, and I was over the moon. I still didn't think I had a real shot. So I was gonna go into the final and see what time I could put up and see how much I could push Tori and Gretchen. And I think I did just that. And I went 55.6, and I'm so proud of that. And I hate the narrative of being like, oh my gosh, you must be so frustrated because you got 3rd place. I'm not. And I want to be so clear about that. 55.6 is something that I deserve to be so proud of. And I was never planning on swimming that event in Paris. I never thought that I had a shot. If I had squeaked in for second, absolutely, but it was never part of my original plan. So I don't want that to be misconstrued at all.
So maybe in a slightly similar vein, just in terms of the confidence side of things, and I know this is kind of, I think, for all of you. I don't know, Shaine, if you've met with a confidence coach, but Carson and Regan, you both have spoken about that. And just, I'm curious if you could sort of walk us through like what the process was of realizing like, hey, this is something that I think is going to help me, and you know, how you eventually started seeing the benefits, and when it sort of clicked, like, oh yeah, like this is maybe what's going to take my swimming to the next level.
Yeah. So, yeah, in 2021, the end of 2021, like I talked about, Susanna, she actually reached out to, probably because she had no other way of contacting me, she reached out to my coach, Wyatt, and Wyatt passed it along to me and was really encouraging me to do it. And like I said the other night, I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. Like, I'm embarrassed to do that. If I do it, I don't want anyone to know. Just because at that time I didn't know anyone who did it, and I felt like I was like, why can't I just do this on my own? Why can't I just step up and race like I've seen Phelps do or Lochte do or all these guys? Like, they always seem to just have it. And at that point I was like, why don't I just have it in big moments? And so I began to work with her, and that totally changed my career, doing the work with her. And so I could not thank her enough. And then this year I started working with a guy named Jim Murphy, and he does very similar stuff, talks about confidence, and honestly it's a lot of perspective stuff over, like, it's very easy to let this rule your life and make it seem like it's all swimming, this is the main thing. And Jim does a great job of incorporating faith into it, which is important to me, and just working with my entire family on how to best support me. And like, that's been the coolest thing, is that he doesn't just work with me, he works with my whole family to say, okay, this is how we can best support Carson during these times, during taper, during heavy training, especially during these meets. So that's been the best part of it.
I think Carson hit the nail on the head. I don't want to just like repeat everything that he said, but I feel very, very similar. I was scared at first, and I was like afraid to ask for help. I finally did it, and then realized what I'd been missing out on for so long. And yeah, everything just kind of went up from there. So he said it very well.
I don't really have any words. I'm completely zoned out. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just like,
Charlie Clifford, NBC Cincinnati. The fact that this Olympic dream's coming true in a city like Paris, when you envision images of what lies ahead, just taking the spectacle in, what do you see?
Start with Shaine.
I think the obvious would be the Eiffel Tower, and I don't really know. I mean, I've had on my lock screen, you know, Paris and the Eiffel Tower and all that logo for over a year, because, you know, I just wanted to, you know, get that ingrained in my brain. But now that it's kind of come true, I'm just like shocked. I don't know. I guess I'm excited to see what it'll look like.
Yeah, I've never been to France, so I'm really looking forward to that. My entire family, when I was at an international meet in 2018, I was in Tokyo. My whole family took a trip to Paris, and I wasn't there. So I'm really excited now to have the opportunity to go myself. I just think it'll be fun.
Same. I think my whole family's going, and except Jake, he's got to do med school. But he'll probably enjoy med school. Jake loves school, so he'll enjoy that. And but yeah, I honestly, the thing that I've been most excited about since making the team is like thinking through, like, all right, I get to swim the 4 IM against the world record holder in his home country. Like, that atmosphere is going to be probably electric, and to be able to like get to be a part of that, and like, I know they're going to be cheering for him. I know like the cheers aren't for me, but to be able to experience that and hopefully be in a lane right next to him and get to race with him is going to be really cool. So that's what I'm most looking forward to.
Last question, David.
For Regan, obviously you've talked a lot about feeling more confident in yourself, and it's shown obviously in your results here, especially in the hundreds at the start of the week. Why do you now feel more prepared physically, mentally to race Kaylee McEwen in a way that maybe you haven't in the past, certainly in Tokyo and even last year?
Yeah, I'd say just continuing to train under Bob, like absolutely, and now Eric Posgay too. I think the combination of those two has just made me feel so much better physically and mentally. I love his practices, both of their practices. They're very similar, so I'll kind of talk about them as one entity because they kind of have the same brain sometimes. But they just know what they're doing 100%. And I love what I do under them. They make swimming fun. It's serious, but it's so fun at the same time. I walk into practice every day really excited and always fired up, and I never feel like I've ever really hit a big burnout being coached by them. And so I think I'm going into this summer, I think the biggest change versus years past, and last year I think I felt relatively similar, but I think just continuing to build on my time being under Bob and Eric, because now I have 2 years under my belt instead of just one. I think I just have more excitement coming into everything. And I think for a long time I viewed swimming as like a job, and it was like a business trip. And I think there's a time and a place for that. Like, yes, I have a job to do, but at the same time, like, this is just fun, you know, and thank God it's a sport. This isn't life or death, so I just want to like lean into the fun side of things 100%, and I think that just makes it a lot easier to go out there and like rip and give your best effort every single time. And I know Kaylee will, so I just think it'll be a lot of fun. And I say fun a lot, but I mean it this time, so I'm looking forward to it.